We're going to talk about another method of concealed carry on your motorcycle right now. Ramblin' Man Moto here. In a previous video, I spoke about not wanting to carry on my hip when I was riding on the motorcycle. Normally, when I carry off the bike, I'm carrying in about the 3 o'clock position. I shared a previous video where I had moved to a shoulder holster from Gunfighters Inc. website. And I'll put that link in the description of this video. Now, what I found with that holster was I didn't like it. One, it had a lot of plastic on it, and it just made a lot of noise. And for a holster that costs what that cost, I thought the parts felt a little cheap and were definitely just making too much of a clanging, knocking sound when I was wearing it. The other thing that I did not like about that holster, the more I wore it, was it had 2 retention clips that you were to tie onto your belt or through the belt and then back on itself. And what I found was that no matter what I did, it constantly came loose. I didn't like that. And also found, if you had to actually go to the bathroom or something where you were dropping your pants, you had to connect it all over again when you were finished, and it just was a hassle. So what ended up happening was I didn't want to wear the gun that way, so I ended up going back to either hip carry or pocket carry, which I sometimes do as well. But I still didn't want to stick with pocket or hip carry because I didn't want to land on my hip with it. What I have transitioned to now is these chest holsters from Gunslingers Inc. This is the Kanai chest holder, and I'm not out riding today. I just thought I'd come out and shoot this quick video. I did do a few test rides with this thing on so far. And by the way, before I get deeper into the topic, I'm just going to say, what you choose to wear and how you choose to wear a firearm is a very personal choice. I have been wearing a handgun for 30 plus years, and I've experimented with just about every approach. You're going to find what works for you, but you'll find in the comments of forums and threads, people get dogmatic that their way is the best way. And what you're going to find is nobody can tell you for you what's going to be the best setup for you. You're going to have to find a setup that makes you comfortable and will make you actually wear it and take it with you. The greatest firearm in the world doesn't do you any good sitting at home in a drawer if you don't want to wear it, if it's not comfortable. For example, inside the waistband is tremendously popular with a lot of people. I've never liked it. I tried that through the years. It just never felt comfortable to me. And, part of it's weight. But I've seen big guys who are, it's one thing to be standing like this and be inside the waistband. It's a different thing to sit in a car and to be able to get it out. So you got to find what will work for you. For me, I've been experimenting with this chest holster, and I also, I go out into the woods a lot on our property, and I've been wearing it just as an experiment along with my other forms of carry. And if you don't carry mace, you consider that too as well. But I really like this chest holster, and you can get it tight enough where it's one-handed in and out. A lot of these things are designed where you hold them and pull. That's true for the shoulder holsters, but I wanted it tight enough that I could just pull it out. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to take off the coat here so you can see the holster. All right, I've got the coat off so you can see what this holster looks like. There's no retention clips going down. I like that. It's not over both shoulders, which I like that overall. I haven't cut the strips on this and cut them down yet. I haven't trimmed anything down on it. I've just been leaving it like it is, as I still kind of want to dial it in. And but I really like this setup. It doesn't make really any noise. Here's what the back of it looks like. And I've been on my ATV with this. I've been on the motorcycle with it. And, I find this very comfortable. Now, you could say, well, if you have an accident on the chest, You're going to have cracked ribs or worse. You know, everything's going to have a trade-off when you're on the motorcycle. I have played around with unzipping the jacket and reaching in to get it. You're going to have people in the comments that tell you a shoulder holster is the only way to go. And hey, if you find one that's comfortable and works for you, you wear what you want to wear. For me right now, this is kind of a good balance. It's easily concealed by a jacket. Doesn't really print. Now, I've got the this is unloaded. This is the Smith & Wesson Shield Plus. The magazine holds 13 rounds. Plus, you can carry one in the chamber, as you always should. And this has also got a red dot on it. So if you watch the channel Active Self-Protection, they will tell you they analyze every day a new video of a shooting or of a self-defense encounter, not just shootings, but a lot of them are shootings. And they will tell you that in a civilian interaction, they've never seen a civilian go to a backup magazine. Law enforcement, completely different. Law enforcement has a duty, law enforcement has to stay and fight. I wouldn't say it's a duty. The courts have found that there's no duty to protect you by law enforcement. They're usually coming after the fact. But law enforcement will have to switch to backup magazines. In all of their thousands and thousands of videos they've analyzed and the studies they've read, they've never seen a civilian need to have a backup magazine. They've never switched to one. Now, why do I mention that? Well, because you're going to see people in the forums, comments on videos that, you know, bless God, John Wayne, I'm going to have 2 backup magazines. Yeah, I do that sometimes when it's convenient or makes sense, but that was not my goal for this setup. Most of us will never need a firearm. And if you do, most of the things I have read and the studies I've read have all said for civilians like us, you don't need the backup magazines. Now, you're going to have people say, well, I'd rather have it and not need it. Again, do you and whatever is comfortable. But in this setup, I've got 13 rounds plus 1. To me, that's better than nothing. And 14 rounds is a lot. And anyhow, that's the setup. I'm going to, this is from Gunslingers Inc., the Kanai chest holder. I'm not affiliated with them at all. I'm just a customer. And I really wasn't happy with that other one. And I tried it for 4 or 5 months, kind of beyond their return period. And I got in touch with them to kind of tell them that I really didn't like it. And but I was interested in this rig. So we set up a return and they let me swap out with this one. And now you can grab it and pull out. But I've got it tight right now so that I can just pull it out with one hand and out. And anyhow, I just wanted to mention this. You got all sorts of ways you can carry on a motorcycle. I'm experimenting now with this one and been out riding. It's still cold weather, so I haven't been out as much as I'd like with this thing. But so far, I'm feeling really comfortable with this, and I think this is the way I'm going to go. Now, if you take the jacket off while you're out going into a restaurant, obviously this isn't as is not concealed at all, right? If you got pocket carry, which I got a pocket carry right here. Now this is loaded and dirty. I also wear hip carry sometimes. I've got an ankle holster, not very practical, but I have an ankle holster as well. And, you know, you got to find for different environments what you think is going to work for you. And, you know, are you comfortable taking your jacket off and going in a restaurant? I am, but the people around you may not always be comfortable. They may ask you to leave. If you're at a certain private establishment, it's their right to ask you to leave. If somebody's not comfortable because somebody's wearing a firearm, maybe they should be the ones to leave, has been the answer that I've given people. But, you know, the criminals are going to come in anyway. You know, sometimes they'll ask me if I'm law enforcement. And I really don't think there should be 2 sets of rules when it comes to firearms. They're citizens just like we are. We have a right to self-defend just as much as anybody else, right? But I know where they're going anytime I get asked that question, because somehow they would feel more comfortable if you answer yes to that you're law enforcement, because their answer might be different. So if you're not comfortable open carrying, you've got to make a decision there about you know, what do you do? And you got to make sure it's legal to open carry where you are carrying. But anyhow, I just wanted to demonstrate this one and mention that I've moved away from the one that I did the previous video on because it was too loud and too loose and too clunky to deal with. This literally, you know, you just leave that connected and you strap it on and then pull it around and snap it in. That's it. So I'm probably going to adjust this a little bit more. You can adjust it where it sits lower or higher. And I might still play around with that part a little bit, but you can see this is a lot easier to put on than that other thing I was dealing with that had the two retentions. And no matter how much I tightened them, if I moved a certain way, they came loose. And I really like that I can get to this one-handed with no problem. All right, that's it for this video. See you on the road.